Hello, I'm Patrick from the Xyna team. In this video, we built a website that can access a Xyna community instance. For information on how to configure a community instance for a local GUI, watch the previous video in this series. We start by cloning Zeta boilerplate from GitHub. This is an already configured stub website to use with Xyna. It's important to also include the submodules. After that, we need to run npm install to get all dependencies. We'll be using VS Code to edit it, but any IDE or text editor is fine. Firstly, we need to configure which Xyna server the website will connect to. This can be done via the property settings in the environment directory. The settings in environment ts are used for a local GUI, which can be debugged using the developer tools of your browser. We set the URL to point to the community instance. Additionally, we require the path Xyna Black Edition web service/io, since this corresponds to the Tomcat web server. Now we can build the GUI using the command npm run start. This also launches a local web server and deploys the GUI, making it accessible in a local browser. We are greeted by a Hello World website. Let's make it more interesting by calling a Xyna workflow from our website. We'll use one from a previous tutorial. It dynamically creates a text description of a carpool managed in Xyna. To visualize the result of the workflow, we add an HTML text area to our component. It will display the content of a new variable. Now, our next step is to call the workflow and store the result in this variable. To that end, we use the injected Zeta API service. It provides a method called startOrder that allows us to trigger orders in Xyna. The first parameter specifies the Xyna runtime context from which the order should be started. In this case, it's going to be the workspace containing our workflow. While we could set the runtime context right here, usually we use the same one for most calls within a single website. Hence, the previously mentioned settings file environment ts contains a member for the runtime context to use. We set it to the appropriate workspace and access its value within our component. Keep in mind that Xyna orders run asynchronously. Therefore, we subscribe to the return of the call. Among other things, the result contains an array of returned values. In our scenario, there can be only one return value. The contained result is stored in the member data. For the sake of simplicity, we directly access the member text of the returned type. When we examine it in the process modeler, we notice it has a member with that name. Zeta also supports type safe access, which we'll cover in the next tutorial video. Let's take a look at our website. Voila! It displays the text description of the carpool returned by the workflow. Of course, you can also use other HTML components that automatically adapt the size to the component. Now it's your turn to experiment with websites triggering Xyna orders.